Welcome to the Teaching Bites podcast. Here are your hosts, Fred and Sharon Jaravada.
Hi, welcome to the Teaching Bites show, where we connect you with people and ideas to take your teaching to the next level. I'm your host, Sharon.
And I am Fred.
And today we are here to talk about Fred's experience at ATLIS 2016 in Atlanta. It stands for the Association of Teacher Leaders in Independent Schools.
Technology leaders.
And technology leaders. And one thing to note, luckily my parents came to take care of the kids. It helped very much because it was 4 days during the weekday, not the weekend.
Right. So, I definitely want to give them a shout out for coming by and taking their time, their vacation, to come by and take care of their grandkids and helping you out. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're going to talk about my takeaways about ATLIS, like Sharon said. But I did want to give a shout out that there was some big news the past week or so, right? And I want to give a shout out to one of my favorite all-time artists out there, Prince.
The purple one.
The purple one. So when we just heard the news about a week ago, right? Mm-hmm. And it was just shocking, you know. One thing that's been what happened after that, when we got the news, we started playing the Prince albums, right, or the top hits of Prince, right, and our kids, in particular our 5.5-year-old, he's almost 6 actually, that he's gotten into Prince songs. Yeah,
and even drawing Purple Rain in art class.
Yeah, that's what the art teacher Gilly said. She emailed me about that, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so that was a pretty big thing. So.
All right, so Fred, can you tell us a little bit about what ATLIS is?
All right, so ATLIS is, like the title says itself, it's the Association of Technology Leaders in Independent Schools. It's where a lot of teachers of technology, educators of technology, basically leaders of school technology programs, directors of technology, educational innovation coordinators like myself. The titles all pretty similar, but they're basically people who who work at schools that drive the technology program among their schools.
Okay, and you were preparing for a couple of months for this talk you're giving.
Right.
You gave, and can you tell us what it was about? I know you presented with a guy named Lee.
Not Lay. It's
Sorry.
Lee. Sorry, Lee. I know it's spelled like Leight, but yeah, it's Lee.
Lee, sorry.
All right. So our talk. See, so this one of the takeaways. I'm going to start with the takeaways.
Yeah.
Okay? Mm-hmm. One of the biggest takeaways is that I wasn't really expecting to be part of a deep dive talk there, and you could actually listen to part of it, not part of it, but you can listen to the last episode about when I interviewed Lee and Nicholas about their experiences also. But my take was that I never met Lee before, and Sarah Hannawald of ATLIS, the executive director, she combined both of us in California, San Francisco, California, and he's in North Carolina, Concord, North Carolina, and decided to have us work together and present together, which is cool. I never did that before. I did last year present with a couple other schools also, but I was doing it also with my colleague Krista. This time around, it was just by myself. Myself presenting with Lee, and I don't know Lee, like I said, and the takeaway was that I had to learn to work with someone I don't know, across the country. There's time differences. I was going to bring my perspective on the title of Leading Cultural Change in a School Makerspace, something like that. So I have my perspective, my experiences in our Spark Studio, the makerspace in our school, and obviously Lee has his own experience. And bringing those two experiences together into a cohesive presentation and deep dive, that can be a challenge. But luckily, Lee and I, we hit it off immediately. He's a father, too, of twins, and he's the director, dean of technology in his school, and we just melded together. We had the same vision, the same thoughts, that makerspaces are great. They have incredible tools and technology. However, that's not the whole point. The whole point is that the learning goal is the point, and using the tools, the learning, creating things with the tools is the mindset of having a makerspace in schools was the key. So that was a big takeaway, working with someone I never knew. And that was interesting because our presentation happened at 1 o'clock, was scheduled 1 o'clock. He didn't fly in. I flew in the day before. He flew in around 10, 11 o'clock. He got into the hotel 11 o'clock. So we just had really like an hour and a half really just to gather our notes and just hook up and just get ready,
So you mentioned it was challenging because of time difference. You never met him before. So what helped you, have a good rapport throughout the virtual?
Really, it was. Here's another takeaway. I went with this with my mind of being the beginner's mind or flexible mind. I just made sure I didn't have an agenda, a real big agenda. I was flexible. I wanted to feel his ideas out, and it just clicked. And then you know what? I fit in. He presented, I presented, and he presented again, and I finished it off together. It was just a great. It was just being flexible and being adaptable to each other's style.
Nice.
So that was one of the takeaways that I learned. So that was cool.
Cool. All right. Another takeaway?
Another takeaway is that, in any kind of speaking engagement like this or some kind of a talk like this with other people, I have something called the imposter syndrome. And if you don't know what the imposter syndrome is that sometimes you feel like an imposter trying to present things, or you think you're an expert. People would call you an expert or call on you to share something, but who am I? You question yourself, who am I to share this? I don't know. Who am I to be talking about, in this case, the makerspace? So I had to learn to go beyond that and work around that. And that's a real thing, actually. I was looking at the psychologists out there, and they were talking about imposter syndrome. That's a real thing. People doubt themselves, even people who are in the field for years and years and years. Sometimes they feel that doubt, that who are they to present or to talk about things. So in my case, I went over that and just made sure to share my story of the school, of what I knew. And it just really clicked with what Lee was saying too also in his own his talk. So it was just nice when I got to visit and go to other talks. It was all good because I was hearing the same things that I was going to say.
Yeah.
And I just expanded and shared our experiences for our makerspace. So
it doesn't really matter. I guess you're trying to say that everyone has their own story. And it's unique amongst a people, so you shouldn't feel like you have nothing to say. Right. So the answer to that question was so how do you run a makerspace, or how do you do this, or how do you do that, or what do I need? And it comes down to it. It all depends. It depends on what your school culture, the context, right? Yeah. It depends on your teachers and your students. The students they're gonna get it. They love making stuff. They just love stuff. To do things with their hands and do other things besides, their regular core curriculum subjects. They just love that stuff. So they bought in. It's the teachers that we have, us technology leaders, we need to support them, give them trust in us, and we give them, show in turn trust. We trust them to take risks and just go and try to push ourselves. And we'll be there. We're there to help you. And because even though what works in our school, it may not work in your particular school, but we gave some guidelines, like some pointers of being, helping them, nudge them a little bit, but also being there. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine someone that has no idea what to do, and they have something to go with, and then as teachers, we're always being adaptable and flexible about way we do things, right? So, all right. So, Fred, tell us some more takeaways. Okay, a couple more takeaways. One thing that's cool that I've been to a few conferences over the years, and I met a few they were just familiar faces, but this time around I was able to get to know these people
more, which is great. Either talk to them or correspond with them on email or Twitter, stuff like that. But at the conference, I was able to hang out with them, go to dinner with them. We also went to this is the best chicken and waffles I ever had. Fried chicken and waffles was at Gladys Knight's restaurant. It was great. So we hung out with all these people from all over the country, from South Carolina, North Carolina, Hawaii, California, New York, all these other places. And we just got together in Seattle, and we just got together and just hung out, and just got to know each other. And that was one of the coolest things. And I think every teacher needs to do that, because it's nice to hang out with people who are doing this pretty much the same thing. And it's validating that you are doing the same.
That must be cool.
Pretty much the same familiar things. But there's always a little bit of something different. It's something called, I mentioned this on the last episode with Lee and Nicholas. It's that, not deja vu, but vu deja. No,
what's that?
Ja de vu. It's the reverse of deja vu. It's where you take something, notice something familiar in a new light, in a different way, a different perspective. We're all doing the similar makerspace things, but ours is a little different. But I can see the similarities of each other's, the other makerspaces around the country, which is great. It's like, okay, now I can take this idea. I can take this idea. I'm going to tweak it this way. I take it, my teaching to the next level.
Right. So what would be like the core things that are in common with everyone's makerspaces, you think? I mean, I know it's probably pretty obvious to people, but what are, in your experience, meeting them?
The core thing that's similar to all across is that we're all guided to the fact that it's all about the learning experience. It's all about the learning experience for students and the learning experience for teachers also. So that's the lining that goes through everyone's I've seen. We always want to help our kids and our teachers to go beyond, and that's an inspiring thing.
Right. Cool. So any more takeaways?
Yeah, a couple more, and these are some of the quotes that I just really resonated with me. It's when Vinny, I met. He's also a well-known technology leader in schools, and he talks about being the black. Being the black, what does that mean? And I did mention to you this. Being the black means that, think of outer space. We have the stars, quasars, and sun. All that stuff, the planets, and those should be in my perspective, the students and the teachers. They're the stars. They should be shining bright. People like me, we are the technology people. We are in education, where we should be fading into black. We shouldn't be shining.
Like in the background.
Right.
Yeah.
We are the ether. I don't know what you call it. I don't know the exact name of that. The vastness of space. But we want the stars, the teachers, the kids to shine out there. So being the black, that's a very cool way of seeing things.
Wow.
Another thing, they posed a good question at one of the keynotes, is this, and it really stuck with me, and I'll probably end this with this takeaway, is this question: what do schools do very well that they need to stop doing? Again, what do schools do very well that they need to stop doing? And that really hit me, It's like, okay, wow. It's a different way of looking at it, and it just opened my eyes like, we do a lot of things really well, but we need to do things. We do things that we shouldn't be doing anymore,
Yeah.
And having a space like ours, we encourage getting up from the seat. We encourage talking out loud. We encourage, moving across the room, quickly and so on, and being messy and being loud and So that, that really stuck with me, that question. What do you think about that?
I mean, you asked me that, and I had to think about it, really think about it. And then I figured out, just because it's been done doesn't mean it's the right
walking
thing
in line,
to do.
like everyone walks in line, everyone raises their hand, everyone shuts up. All the kids shut up, right?
Yeah.
We do that really well. Teachers.
Yeah, I'm good at that.
We can make. I can do that too. I'm really good at that too. We can make a whole class be quiet, right? And I think there is that's still okay, but I think we should start moving away from that and maybe do something else.
Well, you could channel that energy into something productive.
Right, exactly. It has to, the learning has to be there, the respect has to be there. But yeah, I think that quote was really stuck with me. Really,
and those of you listening out there, does that stick with you? Do you think of a situation? Maybe it's a good reflection time right now. School's almost over for a lot of us. Something to think about for the new year.
Right. Oh, one more takeaway. Okay, so here's another question that came out of that. Another class, I think. Would you like being a student in your own classroom?
Oh.
Would you?
Very reflective, too.
Yeah, exactly. That's another question. Like, would I like to be a student in my own classroom? Obviously, I'm in the makerspace, Spark Studio. Yeah, I would. But if I pursued staying in still staying in the classroom, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that, because I will probably be the more traditional teacher. I don't know. I'm just talking right now. I'm just speculating. What would I do? That's something to think about. What do you think?
Good thoughts. I mean, would I want to be in my own classroom? Maybe sometimes.
Sometimes, right?
There's so much curriculum to get through that sometimes you just gotta pile through it. But there's fun moments too. I make sure, but it's not like what you have. It's definitely not what you have.
But that's why being ed tech. That's one of my Lena is talking about that we need to, as ed tech leaders or any ed tech leaders, they need to understand their teachers, their pressures, and their stresses and what they're going through, and we just need to be there just to help them out. Right.
Yep.
So that was my takeaway for ATLIS 2016. ATLIS 2017 will be happening in the West Coast this time. It's going to be in Los Angeles. It's going to be in April, also mid-April. So if you're listening to the show and if you're interested in going to that, and I highly suggest and highly recommend teachers go there. And I think it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a technology leader to go. Go, check it out, because it's an amazing thing. ISTE is coming up. It's a big one, but that's huge. I recommend every teacher to go that. But if you can, go to another different conference and connect with other teachers and just go out, have fun, and just look at things differently.
Man, those ed camps are really awesome. We're actually thinking of doing that this summer too.
Yep, we have some plans. We're trying to hash this out, some kind of local ed camps out there in the Bay Area. Or even webinars too. We're thinking about that. So we'll let you guys know if we develop this and see what we can do so we can take your teaching
to the next level. All right. Thank you, Fred, everyone, for those insights. Look forward to hearing more. And
shout out to Lee. Shout out to Nicholas out there. Sarah, Kelsey, thank you very much for inviting me to join the deep dive talks, and to all the other people I met, the guys in Hawaii, the people at Castellea School all over the United States. Thank you, guys.
And of course, my parents, Yan and Betty Tam again, for watching.
Thank you so
your
much.
Crazy grandkids. Thank you. Love you guys.
All right, guys.
All right.
Happy Mother's Day. It's coming up. See you guys soon.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Teaching Bites podcast at www.teachingbites.com.